So some tips for using Pastelmat. Understand your process before starting. So understand that this is a very different surface to using a hot press paper. It's grainy. It's got a tooth to it, quite a visible tooth in some cases, and understanding that process before you start is really, really important. Understanding it's going to look grainy, you have to get the layers in to be able to get the vibrancy and the depth. That's just basically what Pastelmat's all about. Another great tip is to create your base layers first. So concentrate on your values, then your colour, then your details, which might seem like really, really strange. But if you concentrate on all of those lovely things going on underneath the details are far easier to get in on the top. This fur here started off as scribbles, started off as, just lots and lots of scribbly pencil work. And then we used the kneadable eraser, we used the Scotch tape, and we brought the details in over the top. There's no way I could have got this effect. And I'm really, really happy with this. It does look like fur, but there was no way that I would be able to get this effect with just a couple of layers of trying to get the details in first. So it's about trying to ignore the details, which is really hard. But once you actually practice it and you get good at it, it becomes a really lovely way of drawing, because you ignore the details, you get everything underneath, and then you put the details on the top and you get the most fantastic effect. It's brilliant. It's also much easier to get the fine details in when you've got a few layers down, because you've covered the tooth of the surface of the Pastelmat. Then it's much, much easier to get those layers in. Don't constantly sharpen your pencils. We've talked about that. You don't need really sharp pencils on Pastelmat. The blunter the better in some cases. Obviously you need to sharpen them a little bit, but I can get through a whole drawing using different sorts of pencils, but without sharpening them, unless I'm actually doing like a tiny details like eyes and stuff like that. If you go wrong, which we all do, we all go wrong, just layer over the top. Which sounds crazy, doesn't it? Just layer over the top, and incorporate your mistakes into your drawing. And then what happens is you get more depth, you get more vibrancy. You might put a colour down, you go, oh, shoot, didn't want that colour. And then you might go, all right, I'm going to have to rub it out and get rid of it. No, don't do that. Incorporate your mistakes, incorporate your colours into your drawing, and you get more vibrancy and more life in your pieces. And then you don't have to spend time worrying and rubbing stuff out. You just go, oh, that hasn't worked. Okay, I'll just layer something in over the top. And that works brilliantly for Pastelmat. Use light over dark. Light over dark, dark over light. This will help with filling in the tooth. In the sort of the area here, to get it smoother, to get it softer, we brought in, I don't know, some kind of brown in there, burnt sienna, probably walnut brown. And then we brought lighter greys in over the top to smooth it all out. And that's how to get the best, I think that's how to get the best out of Pastelmat, is to use that technique. And remember that the tooth is your friend. Okay, work with it, work with the tooth. The tooth allows you to get more layers in there. The tooth allows you to get the vibrancy. The tooth allows you to get the gorgeous detail. But there are things you can do to help. So, we've got this lovely sort of faded bit here. Again, all I've used on here is either a little dry brush or a cotton bud. And it works beautifully, works so nicely. So we can get all sorts of different sorts of texture. So we've got these lovely light over dark textury bits here. And there are so many different ways that you can create this effect. You can go in with your texture first and then glaze over the top. You can put all of your base layers and everything in first and then put your details on the top. It's so flexible. Light pressure is really, really key when it comes to using Pastelmat, really key. That is what is going to give you some of these really beautiful pieces. Nice light pressure. Might feel really, really, really strange to begin with, but light pressure is definitely something to practice.